And then there is seating if you would like to be seated. All right.
All right, I'll start off. Welcome to the October 2018 Speakeasy, everybody. I hope you have had a wonderful fall break. I hope your preparations or your midterm exams have gone at least half as well as your fall break. I know I spent my fall break studying for mine, so that's an arguable statement at best. But, well, we're super glad to have you all here, and we'll get started on what exactly the KWH Speakeasy is all about.
Right, so for those of you who are new here, Speakeasy has a motto, poetry, prose, or anything goes. That basically means you can come up here, it's an open mic style, you can say a piece of your play, you can do stand-up comedy, you can sing a song, you can do a dance. Basically, anything goes. The one thing we both say, the limit to that is that we don't want to censor you guys, but this is a safe space, so if you feel that if any of your content of your work might be questionable or might make people uncomfortable, we just ask that you be cognizant of that.
In other words, so our normal format is we usually have a sign-in sheet with people who are courageous enough to volunteer to stand up here and have their work judged by dozens of us. And after that organized format, we will open the mic up to anybody who wants to come up and share or do whatever they would like to do.
On the fly is the implication there. Yeah, so do we have any announcements for KWH?
I think we do.
Okay.
On October 15th, if you guys would like to see good food inspired by good reading, please come to Edible Eats, held here, KWH, October 15th, 6:30 p.m. You can, in fact, it's not too late to sign up and bring a creation of your own. Lord of the Fries, Ketchup in the Rye. It's all...
Wait, hold on.
What?
Edible reads. Oh, edible books. Edible books, not edible eats, because all eats are edible.
But yes, you too can become a part of the vaunted Hall of Fame of edible books.
Yeah, so there are prizes to win and stuff. It's really super cool. So if you're interested in any of the things KWH has to offer, there's calendars on the table inside, and you can find out about more events. So with that, I think we can get started.
Indeed, I'm gonna go grab.
Oh, I know the first person who's going.
Oh, okay.
First name. So with that, we're gonna start off with Puppet Master. Can you come to the stage? Do we have a CD player?
We have Spotify inside.
Don't worry about it.
So no Spotify? Okay. All right. Well, everyone give it up for Puppet Master.
Hello? To dream the impossible dream, to right the unrightable wrong, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unfightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered in scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. Thank you.
Thank you, Puppet Master, for a most lyrical performance. And now, for my less than lyrical reading of the name right here, could Savian please step up?
right, let's see. My name's Yvonne. I'm going to be doing a spoken word piece, so here goes nothing. Is it cool can I hold this? Sure. It seemed like I was writing this page from high in the space, so why would I fade in the sky for away? Well, only right I inform you. I implore you to know my raw truth. I'm talking of the seed that's deep within people, that evolves sense of hatred and humility within people. It's true, lethal. Humans are screw-ups. Had to step back for a minute and touch on it. Get a new perspective on the beings we are, our tendency to be prejudiced, conceited, and scarred. Underlying adaptations of hypocrisy that infect us all. But with all due respect to y'all, I'm not trying to be pretentious. I'm including this critique. Don't forget it. Tech addiction became my next religion. I like to highlight this seldom covered topic needing recognition. Lack of my smartphone got my sweating. I fiend for the keyboard waiting to hit send it. Holding the apps that are making me big-headed. Scrolling through my feed to see what my clicks setting. Feeling inferior, peeved and a bit jealous. The FOMO, so whispers and sings endless. Fitting with the crowd, no Yvonne, you hit pressure. Contributing to a feeling of depression. Socially deteriorate quicker than figs perish. The Adam cyberbullying kitties with incentives, and you got a formula for a victim of crib hanging. And it's frequently happening to our children. Get it? Whew. Ain't all gold that glitters. Sure isn't the alchemy behind it. Concerning perversion, I wasn't sure I'd found it. But now that I found it, I become excited. No longer will it camouflage and hide in plain sighting. I'm not guaranteeing and changing my own mind. This is an exercise, a chance to expand, examine, an uncanny knack for labeling, which inevitably will bring the hatred in. Animosity between races and creeds, religion, politicians, states, and elites. Does it all stem from biology and that? Or did my tech culture make an impact? Digital addiction, check that right off. Generalized, stereotype, my God. Overly pretentious, G. Informal opinions, you know me. Manipulated, lied to, just like you. Deep down, I know I messed up just like you. As a result, I escaped my hell realms, but to a degree, we all do it as well, right? We all want to slip into our own realms. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that, Sivan. That was awesome. All right, next up we have Pranita. Awesome. Okay, give it up for Pranita. Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. This is my first ever open mic. I've never I asked you if I can kiss you, which you reluctantly agreed. So it was a small peck on your cheeks. Couple of days later, it was those rare days when everything is perfect. In those rare days, you feel invincible. So I gathered all my courage to speak to you my heart's out. You need to give that poor guy a break. Listen, can I kiss you? You looked at me as if I was out of my mind. Can we kiss? Before he could get any ideas into his head, I said, one of my fondest memories are those 2 times we kissed. I want to kiss you again, so a fleeting image of us are in my memory for this lifetime. I want to kiss you because that's one way I know I can appreciate you for the person you are. I want to make up for a lot of things. You stayed back at the horizon, and I was wondering, how do I make this human understand that you can love someone forever and there's always going to be a soft spot? Listen, me and you are givers. I'm trying to accept it this time. You know about all that because you're a giver. You're never ready to accept somebody loving you. I mean, I'm a giver. With all the courage I have, I'm asking to be kissed. I know you want to. Try receiving it, one step at a time. I've come a long way. I want you to receive whatever the blessing comes your way. You're my muse. Thank you.
Now, we have heard music in the spoken word, but now be ready to hear music in its original form. Please welcome Jed Boronia.
Jeez. Hello, everyone. So, fun fact. I moved to Philly a little bit over a year ago, and the very first open mic I played here was the October Speakeasy of last year. So this is a very special anniversary for me. Thank you, thank you. That being said, thank you so much to whoever makes the mac and cheese, because it's really good and it's my favorite food. Keeps me coming back for more. Can you all hear me? I'll be louder when I play, I promise. This is a song I wrote back in 2016. And, you know, this is the first time I'm actually ever playing it in front of people. So naturally, I didn't rehearse it. So I hope it goes all right. Your eyes force me to hyperbolize this space that lies between your hands and mine. You see, there it is. My hair's a mess, but it's your favorite thing about me, except that way I make you laugh. I always stress that I'm not worth it. Even in your sleep, I know it makes you sad. You think my favorite color's blue, but you wore purple the day I fell in love with you. Don't go getting any ideas about us, so no. Don't go, 'cause your eyes force me to hyperbolize this space that lies between your hands and mine. I don't mind knowing that we're losing time, but please stay long enough to say goodbye. I braced for heavy days and nights without a common voice. Thoughts of you, your arms around another boy. Lost in all the silence that we couldn't fill. And every harmless lie we never thought to tell. We fell in love the way we felt the seasons change. A different air at first, the end so far away. We breathed each other in until it felt okay. The summer in your bones, the winter in my veins. I prayed for better days, and God, I know they're on their way. I loved you so in all the words I meant to say. I sat alone and thought of what you said to me. The love we want is not always the love we need. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jed. Always a pleasure. Next up, we have Rachel Beals. Beals? Awesome. Thank you. Give it up for Rachel.
Hi, my name's Rachel. And I'm going to share with you guys a poem, basically to get over my fear of sharing my writing with perfect strangers. And the name of it's Gone. Gone, like a single wilted rose in bloom, whatever will become of you. Drifting through the air like angry dust or lonely ribbons no longer tied on hair. Will actions of the past catch up with dying breaths, or dull and fade and spill away like mangled tears in dew? Or shall I simply just remember you? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. What a lovely poem. Now, as for the rest, we are finished with our volunteers on the sign-up sheet. But we now open the mic to any brave soul who would also like to come and join us, who have shared our work for dozens of strangers to dissect and judge. If you feel so inclined, the mic is open. We as always, poetry, prose, anything goes applies. So feel free. Don't feel scared to share what you've got in your chest, in your iPhone, or on Google Docs.
Usually as a host, I don't get to volunteer and read anything, but this time I will. But actually, midterms have been a bear, so I haven't been able to write anything original of my own. But I would like to use this opportunity to put in a shameless plug for another organization, KWH organization that I'm a part of that I love very dearly. It's called F Word. It's a feminist literary magazine. And this piece that I'm going to read was written by the editor-in-chief last year. It was actually the first magazine that I joined when I was a freshman on campus, and it's been really seminal to my formation as a writer, but also just as a person and advocate for women's rights. So I'd like to read this piece that she wrote that we published actually in our spring issue, but I think it might actually flow well as like a spoken word poem as well. So this is called Steve Wynn, and it's by Regina Salmons. Philadelphia, my second home. The waves of the Schuylkill bounce me on their knees. This city is green. This city is history. This city is history in the making. The founding fathers all fucked around here, and nothing has changed for the elite sons of liberty. Still study economics and foreign policy at Ben Franklin's feet. But hey, they take time to piss on a statue too. This is a city of the working class too. We've got construction workers who have built this city since the 80s. When skyscrapers started blooming in the horizon at Penn, you can be a winner here. We all have trump cards to play. This is an institution built on being a playboy. Franklin teaches us that foreign diplomacy means persuasion through penis. Women can whisper loudly in their husbands' ears. Also, it is important to remember that Franklin owns slaves, and now the university owns us. If you want to play the game, you have to help them set up the board. You must put in your time, do the dirty work for a while my work-study job expects me to work 20 hours a week for nothing. The university pays me to work for itself, so I can't afford to come here. Nobody can afford this institution. Even the rich pay insanity here. There's only so much you can do before the mind starts to unravel, before things start to go haywire. When was the last time you got bored like the way your body is on autopilot? And then I'm remembering a bad Hemingway quote, write drunk, edit sober. My mind falls in love with misogynist writers because deep down I want to know why men love themselves so much. I want to know self-love the way men love men, the way men love themselves. I want to know why a man can make himself come quicker than the average woman. I don't want to hate men the way the classic writers, the politicians, the lawmakers hate women. I just want to love myself as deeply as they hate women, if that makes sense in any twisted logic. I want to paint portraits of myself and think they are the most stunning things in the world. world. Why do I not think that I am beautiful, despite all logic pointing towards it? My mind falls in love with writers like Fitzgerald and Hemingway and Eliot and Melville and Auster because I have never have to worry about them writing me into their stories. I can fall in love with plots that don't include me. There is never a complex heroine. There is never a female writer locked in the room grappling with the questions of the universe. I can fall in love with the story a male writer writes because I am never dying in the tragic ending. It is always the other, the false woman, the Barbie doll that doesn't exist. It is always the devil that is exaggerated, the woman who is imagined in his mind. I do not have to worry about seeing myself pop up in books. It is easier to read a single-gendered writing because I can choose when I want to feel. I can step into the questioning male protagonist's shoes, or I can choose to judge him from afar. There is no moral obligation to try to understand him. I know who he is. He is a thinly veiled excuse for the author to project his own flaws to the world. Justify them, tell the truth through fiction. I can read mistaken male identities blown up as human identities easily because plastic is easy to recycle. The stories are all old. I've heard them a million times. Call me a bitch, call me a whore, call me a tease. I've heard them all before. It's nothing new. If you're going to be a misogynist, at least be radical. Confuse me into thinking I might have to think while reading your work, and then hit me with the experimental female-aimed misanthrope sucker punch. Hit me real good. This is the type of shit Hemingway wished he could have read. See, I'm getting into it. The men I'm talking about are cocky bastards. They love themselves. So they thought you would too. See, I can be cocky too. See, if I play pretend long enough, I'll be cocky for real. Cocky. I loved Hemingway's book, The Sun Also Rises in high school. I felt Brett was real, but she wasn't. She was Hemingway's best attempt at developing a female writer, but it didn't even work because he wrote her as if she was a man. There was no dialogue, no trip into her mind. She never had more than a sentence out loud. She didn't even get a beginning or an end. She just appears from nowhere and fades into the sunset, a brief interlude. I just like the scene where she is placed on a pedestal and made to watch all the men dance around her. I guess I liked it because I want to dance too. They dance for her. They offer themselves to her like a high priestess choosing which lambs to slaughter, but she doesn't feel like eating lamb. She feels like dancing, and they deny her this carnal pleasure. She is above them physically. They put her above them, but she still can't reach what she wants. And the man she loves can't satisfy her, but this sounds like a man's story. There are two ways to reach chauvinism. Either you can pretend you are the male protagonist, live the life of a foreign male hero, or you can sift through the pages, no emotional buy, and watching the movie play out from a window you can't win, a game you were never meant to play. The white man waits for no one. He keeps rolling the dice. But I have fallen in love with Bukowski too. We're here to laugh at the odds and to live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. The odds aren't good for me, but I like to laugh. I can laugh at myself. I can laugh at the absurd tumble of jumbles of mumbles of words. Not sure how I'm going to do at living quite yet, but the thing is that these writers, these classics, the founders of our infrastructure, slipped in little rules for themselves, little escape hatches for the ones who were wild, but the cockiest of them all, they needed extra roots because these are our ways in. Take the back doors meant for the scoundrels, expose them all, burn down the pages. The best way to ruin the system is to know it. My days reading the blueprints because the worst part is that they are amazing writers. The misogynists are the best freaking. Fitzgerald was brilliant enough to plagiarize Zelda and lock her away, ruin her voice so he never had to answer for it. The best husbands hid their genius in a vagina so they can call it a hysterical safest place in the world. It's a vagina. It can expand. It is a lockbox for the world's secrets. But at Penn, we've somehow come full circle. They revoked Bill Cosby's honorary degree 3 years later. I don't know why it took 3 years, but it did at Penn. We finally discovered that money could only cover rape for so long. Eventually, the blood will soak through the $100 bills. Eventually, the currency will drop. Eventually, the blood will tear the bills in half. $7.5 million only gave him 12 years on a sign. He didn't even get a building with black paint. Black, the color of the righteous. His name came tumbling down. They took his name down after the vandalism. No more winners here. He paid off a girl for sexual harassment. She got the same amount the university got. She got $7.5 million for forcing her to have sex with him. Guess he values his education as much as he values sexual assault. $7.5 million to her and $7.5 to the University of Pennsylvania. Together, $15 million. That is the worst part. He has almost $3.5 billion, and a settlement and donation are just drops in the bucket to him. The shame won't even change his life. He will be fine. He will be fine. He gives up the positions. He is still rich. He has no trauma, no loss. His body is fine. No trauma, just a few less board meetings to go to. He still eats the caviar. He still throws the dice. Thank you.
Now that my co-host has gone up here and shown you all, it's not as bad as my poorly thought out words make it out to be. If anyone else would like to come up and show off their work, person in the back, Oh, I know your name. It's Darby. I can't. Please welcome Darby to the stage.
Hey guys, I will unfortunately have to read off my laptop because I did not plan for this. So if you'll give me just a minute. I wish I could entertain you while I did this, but I'm not that good at multitasking. All right. This is a short story, somewhere between flash fiction and a short story called Icarus. Father is building a flying dream. He's been building it ever since I was too small to see over the high railing of our tower. He's been building it bit by bit, stitch by stitch, until it grows so big it envelops the whole room. Every morning and evening, when we hear the guards knocking, he mutters, "Quickly, quickly, son, help me hide it." And we hide the dream safely out of sight. When I was very small, we would sweep the feathers under the bed mats, seal the wax into the wall chinks. Now my father's dream has grown so huge that it shades the room in the daytime. And when the guards come knocking, we must hang it outside the tower in a web of ropes and knots that father has also dreamed. Father is clever. He has clever old eyes and clever old fingers that have twisted themselves into knots of their own. When he has his bad days, which happen more and more often of late, his fingers curl like veiny, hooked bird claws, and I must do the fine work, the fine dreaming. On his good days, he works from the first pink of dawn without break. He will not take food or water. One moment, he's convinced that he has succeeded. He has created his masterwork. The next, he drowns in despair, tearing his dreams to shreds, leaving the room's dusty corners littered with feathers that I must sweep up before the guards come in the next morning. "Look at them," he says, when he's momentarily happy. The dream sits, sleek and curved, and nearly finished in the middle of the floor. Are they not beautiful? Are they not perfect? They are. When will we leave, Father? I ask. Tomorrow, son. I only have to put on the finishing touches in the morning, when the light is better and my old eyes can see. We will leave tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, and I wake to find Father in the middle of the room, his dream torn around him in feathery clumps. He has not slept. His eyes are rimmed with tortured red. "Father, why have you destroyed it?" I ask. "It is useless, son. Useless. But only yesterday you said it was perfect, the pinnacle of your creation, the best thing you'd ever invented." I was mistaken. It was all a horrible mistake. "But Father, you're a genius. The guards all say so. You can make mistakes." And he weeps and tears at his clothes. "I'm no genius. Don't say that. Never say that." "I'm sorry, Father. You're not a genius." "Thank you, son. Now help me clean up this mess." We sweep the feathers into a waxy pile as high as my chest. The bare branches we lean against the wall. I look at Father over the top of years' worth of feathers. "When will you rebuild it?" I ask. "Never. I'll never start again. We'll grow old and wither and die here, just like the king always planned." "All right, Father," I say. But each time, the next morning when I awake, he begins the dream anew, bending the branches into a framework, sealing the feathers on with wax he melts in the sun on the windowsill. I think the guards must know. The evidence is hard to hide. Sorry, one sec. It closed on me unexpectedly. Give me just a moment. I think the guards may know. The evidence is hard to hide. I think some of them want him to escape, to unwind a golden thread out of our too simple labyrinth. They must think of the wonderful towers he has built, his castles threading their way upwards towards the gods themselves. If so, the others must think him mad. When we hide the dream outside the window, it's not so much wings, but a lumpy mass of feathers, swinging half-heartedly in the breeze. They look nothing like the white wings of the gulls, born to cut the air. These guards must think Father will fly them to his death, far out over the lonely ocean, or else he'll work till his fingers fail and I'm as hunched and gray as he is, and we'll both wither away with the dream swinging gently outside the window. I think this is very cruel. Or else they must think that Father has finally tied himself up in his own knots, knots of a fearsome labyrinth and of defying a king, that he tried to be more clever than the gods themselves, and so he ended up building his own prison. Either way, they must think, they have a prisoner who's never going anywhere again. Father sends me up on the steep slopes of the tower roof to collect more feathers. When I was small, he had to lift me over the high railing so I could grab onto the roof ledge. The first time he did, I was so afraid I cried for hours, clinging to the ledge and frightening the gulls so they stirred up in flight. When I finally grew tired, I fell silent and looked out into the air. Everything was blue, and I thought I might go blind because I'd never seen blue before, just the gray tower and the brown guards and the dirty, ragged color of Father's tunic. I stared at the drop between me and the blue sea, and the gulls whose flying arms that Father called wings were tucked gracefully along their backs, lined with feathers the way my arms were with fine hairs. And I looked at the sun until it burned a hole in my vision of blue. Father now builds more than he tears apart, which frightens me. I know Father, and the gulls, and the guards. I do not know the island Father talks of, or the people whose names he mentions that says will help us. I do not know the grass, or sleeping on anything other than stone, or the faces of anyone but Father. I stay on the roof now to dark, so I do not have to see it unfolding in the idle of the room, like a gull chick hatching from its egg. It's growing every day, growing, and Father barely cares to hide it anymore. It's finished, son, he calls to me one day. I'm not sure whether to believe him this time. But when I swing myself down from the roof ledge, blinking in the sudden gloom of the tower, there it is, the dream, and a second one for me, sitting fully finished in the center of the floor. The wings seem to glow with promise, their lines curving back gracefully like a gull's. Father's a shadow in the corner. Put them on, put them on. He lifts the wings onto my shoulders, fastening the laces. Remember what I've told you about flying. I nod. The wings are heavy. Father's dream settles around me like a bulky skin. Don't fear now, son. Soon we'll be on Kamikis, where the king will protect us. I thought you said the king wanted us to wither and grow old. No, son, a new king, a different king. I pause. Will there be a new sky? New gulls? A new tower? No tower, son, and the sky and gulls will be far away. We will live on the ground again, with other humans, and everyone will know us by our names. I have been no one for so long, no one in the Tower of Nowhere. I've always been so, but not Father. I do not like being reminded that Father has another name. I'm not sure if I like the feeling of the branches on my back. The feathers are smooth and slippery. Father weeps as he finishes, but after so many years of them, I know these tears. They're tears of joy. Soon, my son, we'll leave this God's-cursed place behind and we'll be free forever. I jump and the dream catches the air above me, just like Father said it would. It fills with each strong stroke of my arms. The tower is below me, and the gulls who I stole from all these years are the size of the people ants below, and the people ants themselves are invisible. I'm stuck between the blue of the sea and the blue of the sky like one of Father's feathers. In the distance, the green of the island Father wept when talking about. In the distance is the green of the island Father wept when talking about. It is a color I have only ever seen from afar, separated by the space of a tower and a wall of air and a crime committed before my birth. Above me, the sun is the yellow egg of a gull cracked open in the morning light. The air whistles past me, the way I'd always imagined it would if I let go of the tower's roof ledge, except I'm falling up, away from the island, away from the tower in the blue sea, and oh, the sky, and oh, the yellow, yellow sun. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darby. All right, is anybody else interested in coming up? All right, come on up.
Okay. Hi again. I think I got a little confidence, but from the first time I said a poem here, read something, and now I think I'm gonna say the couple of other things that I've written. Okay, so this is, I said comfortably numb, so I'm gonna start. Okay. It goes like this. You wanna be loved, but are you ready to give love? Have you loved yourself enough? You want to feel special, but when was the last time you made someone feel special? Do you feel special about yourself? You want people to take that extra mile towards you, but have you even met them halfway? Oh, sweetheart, if only you had things your way without efforts, life wouldn't have been the same and karma wouldn't have existed. But then, darling, I promise to hold your hand through every storm, but not the ones you created yourself. This is the one. And yeah. Is there something else I've written? Yeah. There's this other poem. It goes, in the crowd, I search for a face, a vibe that would be comforting to suffice the want to feel that only way, to have a chance to make it right. And then I remember the things you said and the way you did what you did. It's like a tornado in the middle of a calm sea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, you guys, you know the drill at this point. Would anybody else like to come up? No pressure, no judgment. All right, come on up. Give it up for Paul.
Thank you. It's my first time here, so I don't have anything original. But is that breaking any rules if I read something else? I don't think there's rules here, so that's what I figured. So I was just hearing different poems, and the one about someone mentioned dust reminded me of a poem by Rupert Brooke, but I'm not going to read that one because it's kind of long. But look that up if you do. It was really similar and about love, and it's interesting take on it. But this one is just about a fall day and the beauty in nature. It's by Edna St. Vincent Millay, so it goes back about close to 100 years, so maybe not so contemporary today, but we're kind of have a mix of stuff. Anything goes. So this is called God's World. O world, I cannot hold thee close enough. Thy winds, thy wide gray skies, thy mists that roll and rise, thy woods this autumn day that ache and sag, and all but cry with color, that gaunt crag to crush, to lift the lean of that black bluff. World, world, I cannot get thee close enough. Long have I known a glory in it all, but never knew I this. Here such a passion is, as stretcheth me apart. Lord, I do fear, thou'st made the world too beautiful this year. My soul is all but out of me, let fall. No burning leaf, prithee, let no bird call.
Thank you, Paul. Now, would anyone else like to follow up? It's all good. It's all good. We've gone through the routine multiple times. What? Oh, excellent. If you do, we'll be happy to give you all the time you need. In any case, I'm not good at filling up space, but it's all good. Just if anyone would like to get second helpings of the food inside or just chat and mingle, feel free to in the intervening minute. And by the way, our next Speakeasy is November 7th. Hopefully it's a less busy time of month and we can have a much bigger turnout. But feel free to come again, share what you have. I hopefully will finally have something written for the Speakeasy. It's kind of a shame being the host and all and not having anything to say beyond what's right now. But please mark that down. Feel free to mark that down in your calendars. And if not, we'll do most of the heavy lifting on making sure you remember that.
Like us on Facebook.
Also, it was impolite of me. What was your name again?
My name is Zuri.
Zuri. Please welcome Zuri to the stage.
I work here, actually. Yeah. All right. Hi, guys. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to read anything tonight, but I figured I might as well. This is a short story that I wrote when I was about 16, and it's called Someday. Here she comes again. Purple boots, sequin bag, navy coat, dead end eyes. As she approaches, he observes her face, her hands, her posture, trying to determine if she loves him today. He takes her hand and inquires about her day, trying to make those dead end eyes light up like they sometimes do. She will either give simple responses devoid of any meaning, or she will begin to complain. She always finds something to complain about. She complains that only 5 of her friends can come to her Sweet 16, when 3 years ago she couldn't even say that she had 5 friends. She complains when he doesn't wait for her after class, when 3 years ago no boy in her midst would have dared to be seen with her. But there is a cause behind her complaints, one that he knows but could never fully comprehend. 3 years ago, after each day of abuse, she would come home and cry, and her mother would listen. Now her mother cannot hear her cries, for sound does not travel well 6 feet underground. He had been hoping that a new year and a new age would change her, but for her 16 is just as frigid and desolate as 15. He prays that 17 and 18 will be arid and passionate. He has no clue what will happen afterwards. But for now, he is waiting for winter to end, both the Northern Hemisphere's physical one and her mental one. In her presence, his heart grows warm as a cozy blanket, but in his presence, her heart remains as chilly as the air. In her own subconscious way, she wants the spring as much as he does, but in terms of romance, her heart has been in perpetual winter for her entire life. See you, she says, as he wraps his arm around her one last time before getting on the bus with their friends. She begins her lonely journey home, analyzing the day's events in her mind. With him gone, cold standoffishness turns to hot longing. It is so much easier to imagine that she loves him when he isn't around than to actually love him when he is. Alone in her room, she dreams of him, spurred on by her fantasy world born out of the deepest depths of her hell. After all, her fantasy world was the only reason she paid him any mind in the first place. But now, as time and tragedy have altered her psyche, fantasy wanes and he remains. It has gotten so that even she cannot comprehend the insane whims of her mind. At the beginning of the year, when she returned to school as her enlightened, new and improved self, he was unsure of her altered persona and therefore treated her as only a friend for quite some time. Although initially she considered their half-baked relationship to be a sad relic of freshman year, she eventually realized that her feelings towards him were genuine then, and they were genuine now. She recalls her friend's Halloween horror movie marathon. She resolved to be scared then, hoping that he would calm her fears. Unfortunately, the movie they ended up watching was not in the least bit frightening, and he seemed to hardly notice her during it. It had been another month before he had confessed his love for her, for the 3rd time, and immediately all the longing was gone and replaced with discomfort. The closer he got, the more she pulled away, and the more he pulled away in response, the closer that she wanted to be. She knows that someday she will feel that want whether he is near or not. Someday she will be glad to hold his hand. Someday she will take the long way to class or go to the park or ride the bus with him when he asks. Someday, she may even want him on that deep ethereal level beyond her current understanding, that spiritual way of wanting a person that her mother would tell her about during their midnight conversations so many years ago. She'll want his mind, his body, his soul. Someday she will love him, but will he still love her then? Thank you.
Thank you, Zuri. And all right, if nobody else is interested in coming up, we might just wrap things up.
We thank you all very much for coming to October 2018 Kelly Writer's House Speakeasy. We were so happy to see some old voices, hear some new voices. And as always, we have our next one coming in November 7th. We hope to see you all there as well. And as course, with new faces to bring along. And we'd like to remind you that you don't have to stay too far away from Kelly Writer's House. This October 15th, once more, is the Edible Books this time, event where, as I said before, it's good eating inspired by good reading.
October 15th at 6:30 p.m. So if you like food and you like reading, you should come. All right? Hope to see you there. Thank you for coming. Grab some food if you want.